demonstrates what level he is operating on and his willingness to participate in impeding law enforcement, thinking only of himself and the moment and not the consequences of an elected public official and the image upon the city council or the citizens of Ord. The lack of accepting responsibility for his actions and the attempted projection that he is a victim, he is being set up and wanting the reporting individual prosecuted for the 911 call to report him as a possible driver only demonstrates his blatant arrogance and lack of remorse and accepting responsibility, demonstrating he is unfit and unqualified to sit in a position determining the future where the city of Ward's law enforcement is going. This community expects and deserves much better. The board as a body needs to make a statement condemning this behavior as inexcusable for any elected city officials. Failure for this board to make such a statement will be interpreted as condoning this egregious behavior. The board member that received the warning phone call, the board member that received the warning phone call demonstrated the vindictiveness that a person could have towards a person reporting him for DUI. Imagine the vindictiveness that would be displayed if a city law enforcement officer made the stop or possibly made the arrest of a board member. The Ord Police Department is in a state of dysfunction due to lack of leadership and oversight, demonstrated by 5 burglaries we have had in one night, meth labs that went undetected across the street from the former police chief, and 4 doors down from the former sheriff, now the new interim police chief, who initially hired Leroy, who later became an Ord police officer, and an Ord police officer and an Ord police chief attending drug busts in a questionable state. These are the demons hanging over the Ord Police Department. Additionally, the board needs to make a clear statement on what they are looking for in law enforcement. Failure for this board to make such a statement will be a statement that the city will just get more of the same and will begin the destruction of the new chief's law enforcement career. Now, I'm sure all of you have seen my ads, and heard my radio ads, that type of stuff. For my money, I think we need to do a study. We need to do a study taking a hard look at combining the city-county law enforcement together. At a budget with $387,000, that is a horrendous a lot of money in comparison to the county, which is about $191,000. We have seen the success that the sheriff has had. It's a proven department. It's going to take an awful lot to try to put the Ord Police Department back into a state of function. The one idea I particularly like about going with the sheriff's department is this makes the chief law enforcement officer for the county as well as the city accountable to the voters. This removes any conflict of interest that any board member would have over that individual's job. I know it's not a particularly popular idea, but I think there's been enough abuse to show that even if this board was able to pull it together and get it straightened out, that doesn't mean that we're not going to have the problem later on in the next years with the next board. One thing I'd like to point out too, that the sheriff told me himself, that had this 911 call gone into the sheriff's department, the broadcast would not have gone out about the possible drunk driver. The officers would have been notified by cell phones. I guess that's really about all I have.
I'll just speak up briefly. I'm not going to take a lot of time here. My position is we have advertised for a new police chief. We've got numerous applications. We have interviewed a few of those. We have not set those into a finalist position, but we've had some outstanding men come and interview for the position. So I feel very confident that we're going to be able to fill the position, and hopefully with a little patience, you'll be surprised at how things turn around. One thing I want to touch on, I want to talk about the budget a little bit. Those are the published numbers. The county budget is $191,000. The number that Mr. Brock used for the city does include the communications, which, if we were to compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges, I'd like to drop that off, which would make the city budget $348,797 and the county budget the $191,000. Now let's compare apples to apples and oranges to oranges. The city budget in 2008 was $50,000 under budget. The budget last year was $334,071. The police department spent $283,892.55. We're in the 6th month of this fiscal year, and the police budget has only spent 37%. So we're actually, who knows what's going to happen the next 6 months. We could, use up all our budget. But at this point, we're still under budget and kind of on the same track as where we were last year. The sheriff's budget does not include health insurance. The sheriff's budget does not include payroll taxes. The sheriff's budget does not include insurance and bonds. The sheriff's budget does not include the part-time officer. The Ord City Council, in their budget, we have a sinking fund for our vehicles. I believe the county uses their inheritance fund. Also, going back to communications, the city does spend or pay the county $7,500 and Region 26 $2,500, I believe. The county pays Region 26 $53,000. Now, if we throw in the communications of the city and the communications of the county, a lot of the county's costs are, this is incorrect terminology, I was going to say hidden, but that's not the right word, is in their jail budget. Some of the people that answer the phones, some of their clerical workers, I believe, is there. So what I'm getting at is those figures are completely inaccurate. They're not comparing apples to apples and oranges to oranges. Those amounts that I gave you, I just said the sheriff's budget does not include health insurance. These are approximate numbers. They're not to the dollar or the cents. They're rounded numbers. Some of them are actually approximations because I don't know exactly what they were. But I do have health insurance, approximately $19,000. Payroll taxes, approximately $10,000. Insurance and bonds, $8,000. The part-time officer they just approved, I've heard, I don't know exactly, I heard it was like 3/4 time. Compared to what they're paying the deputies now, I figured it at around $25,000. I don't know if you've got a pen and wrote that down, but I wish you would, and you tell me what you come up with. That's all I have to say on the budget. Again, as far as we're proceeding on hiring a police chief, and I'm very confident we're going to find somebody to do an excellent job for this city. Basically, that's all I'm going to say.
Will you take comments on the chief?